Hi, shalom friends. One of the peculiarities of man seems to be their dissatisfaction with the here and the now. I mean, children, as they're growing up, want to do many different activities, and almost always they're told, when you grow older, you'll be able to do it. So every kid wants to grow up quickly. And then as the kid continues to grow, he wants to drive a car, and they say, well, you're not old enough. When you become 16 or 17 or whatever, then you'll be able to drive a car. And all the kid wants to do is skip a couple of years of his life so he could drive that car. And so it continues on to college, on to working, and he's ahead in his profession. And guess what? He wants to jump to the top of the line and to say, well, you have to be here for another 20 years before you could do that. Seniority. And what do you think he wants to be at that moment? 20 years older. And of course, anyone that's over 50 wants to be younger. Strange. Almost humorous. One of the charming children's stories shows the silliness of this attitude. The story begins with a stonecutter who comes with his pick and his hammer and his chisel, and his job is to carve from the mountain certain rocks and stone. So here he is, the scene opens, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, he's been working since 9 o'clock, he is tired, he's fatigued, he is thirsty, and the sun that was rising is now blazing forth in all of its glory, and this poor man is just being eaten up alive with the heat and the exhaustion, and it seems to him that he is the least significant part of all of creation. And in frustration, he says to God, why me? Everything is stronger than me. The mountain is stronger than me. The wind is stronger than me. Look at the sun. It's just so high up in the sky, and it has nothing to stop it. Boy, if I could only experience the exhilaration of a sun. Little did he know at that moment that the gates of heaven were open, and God gave him his desire and granted his request. And for a moment, he felt himself to be the sun. Now this was an experience. To be high thousands and thousands and thousands of miles in the sky and to look down at everything, that itself was exhilarating. But the fact that it was able to be powerful and to give forth its rays and its warmth, there was nothing greater at that moment. And as the sun is priding itself in its ability to dominate and control everything beneath it, suddenly it notices tiny wisps of clouds. In fact, they hardly looked significant at all. They looked a little bit like cotton. And as they're gathering, they're bunching up, and it begins to realize that its rays, the sunlight, is being blocked by these clouds. Well, the sun got a little frustrated. Who are you, you wispy little nothings? I am the sun. I want to shine all over. And it began to blaze forth with even greater intensity. But the clouds didn't pay any attention to it. In fact, the sun could nearly hear the people downstairs saying, "Where's the sun? It's so cloudy outside." And for all of its power and glory, the sun realized that it's not the most powerful. There are clouds that are even more powerful. And it sighed, "Okay, God, I don't want to be here. This is not what I'm looking for. I want true power and domination. I want to be a cloud." And God heard his request. And he felt himself being a cloud. This was the life. Just to drift lazily in the sky, to go wherever you want, to be above all. But the best part of being a cloud was that he got a chance to play. Because the cloud first made itself into the appearance of a man, and then the appearance of a rainbow, and then it turned itself into an animal. It was having so much fun, it decided that it would do something very intricate, that the two clouds would meet and intertwine and make the perfect eight. And as they're practicing for their great debut, suddenly the cloud feels pushed. And the cloud says to the wind, "Stop pushing me. Can't you see? I'm trying to do something very important." But the wind paid no attention. And it simply blew the cloud away. And now the cloud's feeling of superiority completely vanished. In fact, it went up in the wind, yes. Because for all of its glory, and in blocking the sunlight, it could not protect itself against the wind. So the cloud said, "I wish I could be the wind." And sure enough, it turned into the wind. What a life this is, to go anywhere, to roam the four corners of the earth. You could go slow, you could go fast, you could be a gentle breeze, you could be a hurricane, you could lift a piece of paper. At times, you could even lift a cow. Yes, there's nothing more powerful than the wind. And as the wind was glorifying in its power to do just about anything, it banged itself into a stone wall very rudely. The wind looks, there's a mountain. And the wind says to the mountain, "What are you doing in my way? Leave me or I'll blow you down." And of course, the mountain just merely smiled. So the wind increased its intensity. 50 knots, 80 knots, 100 miles, 200 miles. And as much as it exerted its pressure against the mountain, it could barely move it. And the wind let out a sigh. God, I thought being the wind was the highest form of domination and control. And here I see that this mountain is stronger than me. I want to be in control. I want to be powerful. Can you please let me experience being a mountain? And, yes, the former stonecutter who experienced being the sun, and then the cloud, and then the wind, finally found a solid foundation. It turned itself into a mountain. Now, this mountain did not move, but it didn't have to move. And it just said, all of the wind cannot blow me. No matter how much the sun shines on me, I will still be. No matter how much it rains, it will still be. I guess there's nothing more powerful or important than being a stone mountain. And as he's glorifying himself and his ego rises as high as the mountain's height is, he suddenly feels a prick. And for a moment he pays no attention, but this prick is beginning to hurt. And he says to himself, who has the audacity to start up with me? I'm going to be here forever. They can't blow me down. They can't shine me down. But guess what? He felt something of his mighty mountain existence becoming less. And as he glanced downwards, he saw a stonecutter who methodically and deliberately was chipping away at the mountain. And here the mountain is stuck. It's immobile. And it says, dear God, I thought I was the most powerful in creation, stronger than the sun, stronger than the wind, stronger than the cloud. But now I see that this human being, can I please be this human being? And God heard his plea, and sure enough, he turned into the stonecutter. And that's where the story ends. The stonecutter, who originally thought that being the sun would actually be the panacea for all, realized that of all of creation, perhaps he is the most powerful, he is the most important, he is the most dominant, and he is the one that actually can make the most of it. So what's the moral? Well, it's obvious. Be happy where you are, in what you are doing, because what you're doing in the here and the now is indispensable. No one else can do it. Otherwise, it would have been given to someone else. But I'd just like to add one tiny addition. Actually, the stone, not the mountain, it's the stone that's really the hero. You see, the stone never complained. And even after it's taken out of the mountain, though the mountain is diminished, the stone is actually enhanced. Because chances are that this stone would become part of a mosaic or part of a building. In fact, it would be elevated from rather just staying as a mountain. Now it will be a beautiful stone edifice which many thousands of people will admire. See, because the stone is accepting, it's humble. And perhaps that too, what we used to call the strong silent type, what we used to call the quiet personality, but who is secure in his importance, that's a very, very powerful being. So friends, I leave you with this story. It's a children's story, but there are many mature and adult lessons to be derived from it. And remember, no one can do the job that God gave us in the here and the now, and let's do it well.